Hey guys, Heather here from Tye-Dyed Iguana, and today we're going to talk about the 5 most popular plants to grow in your reptile or amphibians tank. Now there's a whole bunch of different types of plants that you can use. These are just 5 of the most common ones we see, especially here at our shop, the ones that we use ourselves to grow in our terrariums. So let's go check them out. So our first plant that we're going to talk about is in our albino bullfrog tank here. It is moss, and moss is a water-loving plant. It likes high humidity, lots of moisture. It thrives under those conditions. You definitely don't want it to be in a dry tank. Here it's got a partial water section in this tank because we got a bullfrog in here. So it's got plenty of moisture to keep it going. You can see all that. And because it has no roots, it doesn't need to be grown on soil. It can grow on rocky surfaces. As you can see here, you can see it creeping. It's gonna start to overgrow this rock soon. Yeah, on the other side, it's got it too. So it has completely covered those surfaces. And then you can see some over here in our poison dart frog tanks. It is growing on the ground in these tanks. But we keep them sprayed down a lot with water, high humidity and moisture in there, so they thrive in tanks like that, for sure. And it just works great for creating a nice ground cover. It makes your tank look a lot more natural, and the animals like to hang out in it. Here's one hanging out in it right now. Hey, little froggo. I think they're searching for food. And then if you take a look in a lot of our boreal lizard and gecko tanks, you'll see pothos. This is our second plant that we're going to talk about today. It is a climbing ivy, so it works great in our boreal tanks, especially where it can grow along the branches. It can grow up into the branches, you can weave it in and out, and the animals like to hang out on them, especially when we got frogs. And it can also be good just for decoration of tropical tanks, even if the animals don't really climb on it. You can see in our green tree pythons tank here, we've got a lot of climbing pothos. But if you got a monkey-tailed skink, you probably won't be able to grow much pothos in that tank because monkey-tailed skinks, they eat pothos. It is part of their natural diet out in the wild. So if you got a monkey-tailed skink and you try to grow this stuff in there, they will probably eat it all before it can grow. I'm just giving you that warning now. We tried that in ours and it definitely didn't work. The pothos is a very hardy plant, very tolerant. Doesn't require a lot of care. Once you get it nice and rooted on the bottom, it'll just start climbing. And all you gotta do is, you don't have to directly water it. You just have to make sure it's in a tropical tank where the bedding's nice and moist, and you spray it down once a day or so. So not too hard to take care of, actually. And then for our third plant, we're gonna walk over here to our crested geckos because our crested geckos just love this plant. It is the Janet Craig. These are big leafy plants. They are really hardy. Almost all the plants in this list are very tolerant species. They're very require minimal care. But we found that our crested geckos love to hang out on the leaves of the Janet Craig plants, especially when we have multiple crested geckos in there. They each like to pick a leaf to sleep on at night. And it creates kind of like a miniature tree in your tank. They can get really tall and really big, as you can see in this one here. This plant grew like crazy. We've also got one in with our adults. They used to have a bigger one, but I think it actually grew so tall that the stem couldn't support it anymore at the top. And so we had to I think we had to grow it back on the bottom there. And we have some new ones growing here. As you can see, their stems can get really long and tall. So these guys for sure like them, and they do best in a tropical tank. And to check out number 4, we're gonna head back to our dart frog tanks, is the Bromeliad. Now these work especially great for frogs because just the way the plant is structured, They collect water in the middle. You can see that, and sometimes the frogs will like to go down there and hang out. And in the wild, that's where they'll lay their eggs. When they breed, they'll kind of lay their eggs on the leaves, and then when they hatch, the tadpoles will fall down the leaves into that little collection of water, and that's where they develop in the wild. So they're kind of like a natural plant just for these guys. So yeah, they look really nice in tanks. They're very hardy growers. They can even grow on, in the wild they grow on trees and stuff, so they kind of anchor to trees. So they don't necessarily need soil to grow in. You can also use rocks too, I think. Yeah, in our paludarium over here you can see we've got a big bromeliad growing out of the log. And all it is, it has some little bit of moss in there to hang on to, some sphagnum moss, I believe. So yeah, they are really good at growing on different places. You can see this one down here, growing on the log down there. And yeah, this tank has a lot of the different ones we mentioned in this list. It's got the bromeliads, it's got the moss, and it also has our final plant, number 5, the air plant. Now, as their name suggests, these guys will basically grow anywhere. They don't need to anchor down into soil, which makes them a really good decorative plant for your terrariums. They're easy to take care of. They look great. You can use them in tropical tanks. Might be able to use them in tanks with a little bit lower humidity as well. But yeah, they get their water just from daily sprayings and everything, and they can grow on surfaces, like you see they're growing on the branch here. But yeah, air plants, they're also called Tillandsia, and they can also come in bigger sizes. We have various air plants here at our store, and then you can get cool looking air plants like this. That's kind of cool. Yeah, you can get all sorts of air plants. They can come in all sorts of sizes and shapes and stuff. So those are also fun to decorate with. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that little look at 5 of the most popular live plants that we grow here at our store in our tanks that your reptiles and or amphibians will love. These plants are pretty common. You can find some of them here at Tye-Dyed. We sell some of them ourselves in our plant section. So yeah, thanks for watching everybody, and we'll see you next time.